Welcome everyone to the September 26th City Council work session. This evening our item is we're talking about the South Willamette Public Forum next steps. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. And we don't have a formal presentation tonight. We've provided you with all the information, and as we've gathered that, and as you know, over the last many months, there's been quite a bit of conversation, and so there's nothing that we are offering new tonight, and here to answer questions and to listen for your direction.
I did want to clarify one thing before I turn this over to, I think, to George. There's been some email interchange about whether materials were just from the concerning the forum or materials should be in the packet for all the way back, right, Terry? And so you answered someone today, but maybe you want to answer it publicly that we're going to put that all.
Yeah.
So, there was a question about the materials, and what was attached to your packet was all of the comments submitted at the forum or shortly thereafter, and as well as comments that were submitted to the email address that was created for the purpose of the forum. There was subsequently a request for all of the public comments that have been submitted on the special area zone that you withdrew in May, and we have been cataloging all of those comments. So we're in the process of pulling those all together in a easily accessible PDF, and we'll let you know when that's ready.
Thank you. I just wanted people to know. Okay. So, George, I know you had the motion, so you're up.
Yes, I did have a motion, and in light of Councilor Zelenka not being able to be here, as a courtesy to him, I'm not going to make the motion tonight, or maybe I'll make it and we can table it to a date certain of October 10th, Monday. And I think I'll go ahead and just read the motion, because it'll be a starting point in our discussion.
Can I say one thing?
Yes.
You know, don't move to table until, because after that, there's no discussion whatsoever. So if you want to have discussion, have it prior to that.
Well, just preliminary, the motion seeks to launch us on a really well-traveled path of forming a community planning team with the ultimate goal of creating a refinement plan. It's been done several times before very successfully, which I'll detail some of that later. But here's how the motion reads. The city manager is directed to prepare, in consultation with the appropriate city staff and the elected boards of the 4 city-chartered South Eugene neighbors, that is, Friendly Area Neighbors, Southwest Hills Neighborhood Association, Southeast Neighbors, and Amazon Neighborhood Association, to prepare a proposal for a planning process that is based on the South Willamette Street Initiative. That's attachment A in tonight's AIS. Second paragraph, the city manager's proposal shall embody the basic structure and elements of the South Willamette Initiative. However, the proposal may make limited adjustments to the geographic boundaries, the composition of the planning team, and other details. The proposal may also include recommendations for additional guidelines for the refinement plan process to be established by City Council. And then there's there's 4 dates certain, but since we're postponing this for a couple of weeks, they're not really relevant, but the idea is, and I have to think about feasible dates to give enough time to do it and also, but still be able to deliberate and take action on the 10th. And then the rest of it kind of is about, well, when will this be done to be brought back for council's perusal? And the very last one, though, I think is still relevant. Council's deliberation, quote, council's deliberation and action on the proposal shall be scheduled as soon as practicable following swearing in of the new council. So, you know, final action won't take place until till next year when we have our new council and mayor in place. So, and I don't know what to do about the 3.
No motion, Mike, just so you know yet.
Louder, because I haven't filled in the dates, and I suppose I could go ahead and make this motion as read, and then fill in these dates in advance of our next meeting on the 10th.
So what pathway would you like to do? Do you want to just put the motion on the table and add the language about it, having it on the?
I think I would like to do it that way,
Okay,
yeah.
so Catherine, all he needs to do with that is just add the date for, this will come up for discussion on October 10th.
We'll schedule it on October
Yeah.
10th. If you'd like to make the motion, that would be fine. If not, it will still show up on October 10th. So whichever way you're comfortable doing that.
Okay, and maybe what I'll do is, in addition to those 3 paragraphs that I've read, I've been looking at the dates here now, and I think to make sure, it's the October, November, December, and make sure that staff and the manager and the neighbors have enough time to go through the preliminary. Maybe what I could do is add this one, the last one, which is, quote, "Council's initial discussion and further direction to the manager on the proposal shall be scheduled for the December 14th, 2016 council work session." That's our last, and unquote, that's our last work session. There's nothing scheduled for it yet.
So, I mean, you have, if you want to, what I hear the city manager say is this is going to get scheduled for the 10th of October, whether or not this motion's on the table. So if you want to wait until October 10th and then fill in the dates and make your motion on the 10th, then you aren't in a position of having to either, one, fill out dates now, leave them blank, have to go back to amend. It might, since you're already going to have October 10th as a time that you'll have a full opportunity to put this as fully vetted as you want on the table.
I see, yeah. Gosh, either way makes sense to me. So that's a date certain. So I suppose it's okay to not even put it forward right now, as long as everyone's aware that this is the motion. And then, maybe by tomorrow I can finish, study the dates when we'd like to see the preliminary products delivered. And it's not the final product because it's going to have to be looked at probably 2 or 3 times, but the preliminary product for the planning team, just to set it in motion.
And so the understanding would be on October, and city manager, correct me if I'm wrong, that on October 10th is when you'll have the opportunity to make this motion, and you'll be able to discuss it then.
Yeah,
And-
deliberate and take action.
And
Yeah,
councilors alike will be able to attend that.
yes, okay.
The one other piece that would be helpful, just for clarity, is whether or not you want to include some sort of a public hearing once as a part through all of this or not, and that would.
No.
Okay.
Because it's not an ordinance, and it's not we're doing, my time's up, but I'll speak to it. It's okay? All right. City council and staff have done this several times, and I encourage everyone to go to the city website and look under neighborhood plans and pay specific attention, close attention to Willackenzie, Whitaker, Jefferson Far West, and West Side. Because it's all printed out, and it tells who the councilors were, the mayor and the manager, all the city staff that worked on it with the neighbors, and then there is the refinement plan itself. So we've got plenty of time to familiarize ourselves. This is not new ground. It's not mysterious. It's not, anything radical. It's been done several times before, and as far as I know, council approved every single one of those plans unanimously. So, before they went on to have
Our agreement
the force
is
of
we
law.
will pick this up on October 10th.
And so, yes, and,
That's it?
well, no, I want to hear what other people might have to say, but I would like another round. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Councilor Pryor?
I had asked, and this gets kind of to the question at hand. There has been a lot of talk about different kinds of plans, and which plans should the city use and which plans should we not use, what we have used in the past, what other kinds of plans have been used. And I want to get a good sense not only of what are the different kinds of plans and how they interconnect with each other, but also what are the impacts of each different kind of plan on the given area. We've talked about metro plans, comprehensive plans, area plans, refinement plans, development plans, zoning plans. I would like to get a sense of what is the hierarchy within these plans, which plans have authority over other plans, which plans direct the work of other plans, which plans have a significance at the state level, the county level, and the local level, so that I have a much clearer understanding of which, if we go with a refinement plan, exactly how does that fit into the larger scheme of planning. I'm not necessarily opposed to using a refinement plan, but I want to understand more fully how a refinement plan fits into the hierarchy and the structure of all the other plans. I'm sure that hopefully is something that you can put together relatively quickly so that I can have that in hand for the conversation that we have on the 10th. But I have heard conflicting versions of exactly what the impacts of different plans are. Group A says a refinement plan does this, Group B says an area plan does that. I want to get a clear sense of how these plans all interact, because if I'm going to jump, I want to jump in a way that is not only effective for the neighborhood, but also for the larger effect it will have on the entire community. I mean, I want to measure twice and cut once, and I think that's what I'm trying to accomplish here. And if you can give me that information on all these different kinds of plans, what their hierarchy authority is, and what their interconnected impacts are before we make the final decision, that would be very helpful for me.
What we will do is, our intent will be to put all that together and distribute that to the full council.
Excellent.
Prior to the 10th.
Great.
Other comments around the table? Come on, Councilor Clark?
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I would say I'm happy to hear Chris say that, and happy that he asked that. I will look forward to hearing what staff says. But I think that'll clarify for us real clearly that with all of the plans that are made and the council's job to ultimately agree or disagree for the city's whole perspective, a refinement plan is the appropriate input for a neighborhood to give. And that's why I'll be supporting this process as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else have any? Yes, Councilor Ron.
Yeah, in answer to Councilor Pryor, we have actually received explanations of how all this works over the course of the last year and a half or so. And, you know, a refinement plan is a refinement of area specific of the metro plan. And once council approves it, if council approves the final product, and every other council has approved those four plans that I mentioned unanimously, then it's just pretty much automatically ratified and accepted by the Department of Land Conservation and Development, and it has the force of law at that point. It's a legal thing. And all talk about zoning and code and all that stuff happens later, way down the road after the refinement plan is adopted, if it is adopted, and I'm pretty sure that it probably will be. But this is just the first step, like forming the community planning team. The four neighborhoods that I mentioned that have them, you know, you'll see Willikinzie plan, Whitaker plan. Those are refinement plans. All the four that they have different names, but they are actually refinement plans. And they had another thing in common, besides different councilors, different mayors. I mean, it's different staff involved with each one, but they had some commonalities, and the main one was they were all, the community planning team was always composed of residents of the area and business interests, people who own businesses in that area. And sometimes they would include other people, like, for instance, Jefferson Far West Refinement Plan had 5 people from the Jefferson area, 3 people from Far West, 1 representative from Lane County Fairgrounds, 1 representative from Ida Patterson Community School, 1 representative from the Jefferson business community, 1 from the Far West business community, 1 from religious facilities, quote unquote. I'm not sure exactly what that means. And later, an ex officio member from 4J was added to that community planning team. So, and all the other ones have a similar breakdown of people that live in the zone, people that have businesses in the zone. The city staff was different for, there were differences because, things changed. The councilors were different, the mayors were different, but there were certain commonalities. And the first one I looked at was Whitaker, and I wrote this down. This is from the preface. This is the very first paragraph, but I just thought I'd like to share that with you now because it resonated with me. Quote, the August 1994 Whitaker Plan.
I'll come back to you, okay?
Oh, I see, sure.
Counselor Pauling?
Thank you. George mentioned the other area refinement plans. It'd be nice to know when they were last updated and what it would take to update those as far as staff time, costs, and to include them in the conversation. A concern I have is that any decisions that are made about the South Willamette, I don't know what we're going to call it, but the refinement plan for the South Willamette zone, is that some of the decisions that are made about that refinement plan won't work in the Willackenzie area. So we need to make sure that we don't lock ourselves in and say, well, because this refinement plan says that, this one has to. So I'd like to know what the last updated work was done on the remaining refinement plans. And then how many other areas are we going to be looking at for refinement plans if we follow this course on the rest of the development of our traffic corridors?
I know that's a rhetorical.
May I get you, Mayor?
Try to get some information on that. One of the things that you might remember as part of Envision Eugene, we wanted to work in South Willamette. We also said then we want to ensure that we get to River Road, Santa Clara, as well as the university neighborhood. So those definitely are in the queue, as well as some of these others that you're talking about.
Okay. And we received an email from somebody that, I guess it was from the weekend people that kind of had me saying, I wonder if we can correct that. And the comment that really caught my attention, and let me get back to it again. Let's see if we got time. Any time. Is that doing these refinement plans a lot of times, and the quote is, very little representation from renters, families with children, young working adults, and business owners in the area. So when if we do follow this route, I'd like to make sure that we have an equal representation of the people affected within that area.
As I understand the proposal that George is making, that as part of that community planning team, in addition to the neighborhood representatives, that there is some, we can make some recommendations on who else would be on that team, and then the council ultimately approves the team. Is that correct, George? I think
Yes,
is what
that's
I
the idea.
so.
Yeah.
So I
That's
think
how
any of
it's-
those kinds of questions, ultimately the council will be able to decide who you want on that community planning team.
And then you brought up the Envision Eugene process. When we first started having discussions about the proceeding ahead with the South Willamette area, especially Arizona and Envision Eugene, I asked at the time, well, will these interfere with each other, or can they run parallel as far as reaching the end zone, so to speak? So my question is, are we still moving forward with the Envision Eugene, and is there a possibility that we get this completed before we actually get going on the South Willamette area? And how will one affect the other, or will it have any effect on the?
So originally in the Envision Eugene process, the South Willamette area plan was going to be, the results of that would impact the Envision Eugene, particularly around multifamily, meeting the needs of multifamily throughout the community. Subsequent to taking that plan off the table, so it's not on the table anymore, you might remember what we did is we came back to the council in the spring with various options for multifamily on how to meet that need. Those are currently out for comment. Is it for comment? And then we'll be bringing those back to you in another month or so for you to make some further direction around multifamily. So the South Willamette plan does not need to be fully completed in order to continue to have Envision Eugene move forward, so they can actually be in parallel. Does that make sense? Yeah.
It makes sense. But 10 years on the Envision Eugene process. Hopefully we can get it done. Thank you.
I've got Councilor Clark and Councilor Brown in the next round. I did want to say thank you to everyone who participated in the forum and appreciated hearing from people. And also wanted to say, in spite of the sort of the bumpiness of the process that we've been through with South Willamette, I think in a way it's a perfect example of how public process is supposed to work. You put out a proposal and you get a reaction and a response from the public, and that guides your next steps, and that's exactly what has happened. And so, as bumpy as it was, it's actually, it shows what the public process is supposed to do to form our decision making. All right, so Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. I suppose I would comment after my friend George that from my perspective with this proposal, the people chosen from the community for the community planning team for the refinement plan, I'm not as concerned with seeing that each of those members become a representative of some group or that they are representing some interest, so much as I'm concerned that those people do their best to present to council a plan that represents everyone who lives in that area. In other words, that they look at themselves not as representatives of a group per se, but as people doing their best to make sure all of their neighbors and all of their interests are put forward in this plan. Secondarily, I agree that there are several places that are logical next refinement plan choices, and the staff's been working on that for a long time. I can't see from where I am who else is there from planning staff, and so I guess I would ask the manager, and if some planning staff are there, to characterize how far along the work that has been going on now for a couple of years in Santa Clara and River Road already is towards the creation of their eventual refinement plan.
And I'll have Terry Harding answer that.
Okay.
Hi, Councilor Clark. As you
Hello.
know, but maybe everybody else doesn't, the Santa Clara and River Road neighborhoods have a joint working team called SCRIPT. That stands for Implementation Team, and they've been working for several years to lay the groundwork for their eventual neighborhood plan. So they have a ton of research collected, descriptions of existing conditions in their neighborhood, and a lot of community input that has focused their attention on 4 topics. And they are governance, transportation, land use, and parks. And additionally, public safety rose to the top in River Road. So their thinking is that they're ready to support as soon as they have available staff to facilitate the process. Is that enough?
So well, I would just ask as a final, if you had to characterize what percentage of the way they are along the route to a finished refinement plan, what percentage would you assign to that, just roughly?
I mean, there's the work involved and then there's the time involved. So what I would say is they have a real good jump on identifying the issues, and we don't need to recreate the wheel and start at the beginning. But I hesitate to give a percentage.
Well, the reason I bring up this whole topic is to address an important question that I think Councilor Pulling brought up, which is that there are certain areas in our community that are most likely areas of development, which would be the first ones in need of a refinement plan. Well, Kinsey has one that probably needs to be revised. Santa Clara River Road is already creating theirs and in the process and part of the way through. And so I would say I'm hopeful that in creating a neighborhood-led refinement process in South Willamette, the next ones, being as there's been so much work already done, will not take that long to complete. Thank you.
I'm going to, before I go back to Councilor Brown, I'm going to go to Councilor Evans. He hasn't spoken.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you tell me when was the last time, if ever, we've had any refinement or area plan process for Bethel?
Stay there.
Good idea.
The neighborhood plan was adopted in the 80s. And as you know, Building a Better Bethel was more of a strategic plan. That was the latest planning staff involvement in a process there, and it's on the list for implementation.
So basically, we haven't had any land use planning in Bethel since the 80s. And I was on the Planning Commission from 1990 to 92 at the front end of the Whitaker Plan, which Councilor Brown had noted. And, you know, as we're doing all of these processes and all these plans, you know, I think it's about time that, you know, my neighborhood got a little bit of love in terms of land use planning is concerned, given the fact that we have pretty much rampant growth, single family housing that is coming up, no real shape to how our planning is going in Bethel, and quite frankly, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, you know, we've had a lot of focus and a lot of energy placed on certain areas of the city and a lot less on others. And I think that we need to balance that act. That's one. Two, I know that we're kind of running things in parallel form, but are we looking at the spring for us to be getting into the deep dive around the industrial lands portion of this, of Envision Eugene? Are we still on track for that?
Yes, you're scheduled for October 12th to give us the last piece of direction on Envision Eugene, and that'll be around multifamily housing. So provided that direction is given, we move right into notifying the state of our complete UGB proposal, and we hold hearings in the new year.
And as we, you know, contemplate making a pivot in the South, you know, South Willamette, I will note this, that there was a lot of work done by the Technical Resource Group and the Planning Commission around kind of building this framework in the first place. And somewhere along the line, there were several drops in this. And I just put it to categorize it as that. I'm hoping that, you know, all of that work does not go out the window as we kind of, you know, move forward with this, that we can take parts of this, and I think that there are some significant parts of that work that need to be incorporated as we move forward in a more open and engaged process with the neighbors. I'm predisposing what council may or may not do, but I do think that we need to, you know, not just throw everything out completely, but we need to really look at and think about very carefully how we move forward, particularly as we look at it moving forward with a refinement plan for the area.
Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, Councilor Poling made a couple of comments, and I'd just like to comment on a couple of those. Yes, refinement plans do get updated. They do, as they need to. Well, you don't even have one. Really, that's not a refinement plan. So they do get, and they are different. I mean, that's why you have a refinement plan for a certain neighborhood or a certain geographical area, because yet you're absolutely right. One size does not fit all. Willa Kenzie's is different from all the other ones, as it should be. Whitaker's is different, and I mean, they're all different. That's the whole idea behind a refinement plan. And so, and I hear Councilor Evans' concern, and I think that, you know, we need to focus on this and get the ball rolling, because there'll be several check-in points once the team is established and they start their work with staff. You know, so, and then how long will it take? I don't want to predict. It could be as few as 9 months before it's all done. It could take a year maybe. Willackenzie took quite a while because it's an enormous area with many different concerns and additional concerns that are not concerns of South Willamette. So that one did take a while. I think that took the longest of any of them. So, but as far as Bethel goes and some of the other areas, yes, I'd be thrilled to see the neighbors see the need for a refinement plan. I would love to see them get motivated and follow us as we work on this one, and I'd love to see them, go to the city website and read the plans from other areas and see how they might be beneficial to their neighborhood and get involved, get motivated and get involved. I think that'd be great. I just want to finish up this. I started to say this. The very first one I looked at was the Whitaker plan. And here's a quote from the very first paragraph that I think is appropriate. Quote, "The August 1994 Whitaker plan provides a bold statement that citizens desire to improve the neighborhood in ways that also celebrate its diversity, heritage, and unique sense of place within Eugene. The plan is a model for other citizens interested in guiding the future of their neighborhood or community." End of quote. I think that applies here. It applies to Willackenzie and all the other neighborhoods. I just think it's a really nice, beautiful little statement here. Thank you.
Councilor Pryor's in the queue.
Thank you. I often try to talk about what my interests are. What I would really like to see is the ultimate outcome. And for me, I think, as often is the case, what I want at the end of this road is for us to be very clear about what's going on and who it's going on to and what it's affecting. So clarity. The second one is certainty, that everybody in this room and in this community knows for sure what is and what is not going to happen in their home, in their neighborhood, and in their city. Clarity and certainty about what is the path forward, what's the future. And then the third element is consistency, that what you do once, you do it again, and you don't say, well, Betty gets this, but Terry gets that. I woke up this morning and George gets that. I want consistency so that what I do for one, I do with the others. I balance that with, as we talked about, the uniqueness of each neighborhood. And each neighborhood is unique in its own characteristics, but at the same time, it is part of an entire city. And so what I'm looking for is the balance between maintaining the character, the livability, and the individual quality of each neighborhood in our city, but also recognize that it is part of a whole, and that is the city of Eugene, not a loose collection of separate neighborhoods governing themselves. Kind of like when the founding fathers were trying to say, are we a federal government or a confederation of states? I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that conversation. And I think it is possible to achieve. I do. Because I think everybody wants to try to achieve that certainty and clarity. And I think really consistency as well. What you do with one, in all fairness, needs to be what we do with all. As long as we can maintain the individualism and the dynamic within every neighborhood. I've always said I never wanted to destroy livability and neighborhood character, even as we recognized we have a larger obligation as an entire city. So those are my interests. At the end of the day, whatever planning system we use, whatever process we use, I want to make sure that when it's done, to the greater or to the lesser, that I am very clear on exactly what we're doing, that what we do is very consistent, and that ultimately, when I can look at it, I am certain that this is what's going to happen, and that each person in this community that looks at it can say, I can look at this and know what's going to take place, what it's going to be. And if we can achieve that, and I think we can, then I think we can serve Eugene and the neighborhoods at the same time. I don't see them as being exclusive. I actually would like to see them able to accomplish both of those together.
I think as we've worked on this, trying to begin to implement Envision Eugene, I think that we, in our saying we wanted to have South Willamette be a successful first go at it, people were given the impression we were going to create something we're going to take and do the exact same thing in every neighborhood in town. And so that raised all kinds of concerns about every neighborhood's different and wants to be able to have their particular voice in what happens to their part of the community. And I think we, at the same time, have come to really understand that we are a city of neighborhoods, and people really care deeply about their neighborhoods and want to protect what they find valuable about them. And just another comment is that Whitaker, interestingly enough, is actually looking at what they went through with their refinement plan, and some of them are having some issues because it's changed so much that they're feeling the impacts of those changes, and it's caused a lot of concern. And I think you're going to be hearing from folks in the neighborhood about what's pinching them right now. So these are things are not the same, and they're not static. And I don't know how we try to figure out, and that's something for you, city manager and planning staff, is how do we do that, come at this in a little different way so we can move more than one boat at a time? And how do we try to do a really good process in multiple places so that everybody's in this endless line and still do it with the staff capacity we have? I think we're going to have to try to look at it a little differently. Otherwise, if you're at the end of the line, you may be at the end of the line for a long time. So I just encourage you to try to let's try to look at this in a different way. Okay, that's it for today. Unless George, you have something else.
Just one more thing, Mayor. Just one more comment. I'm responding to something that Councilor Clark said, and I just want to back him up on that. He said that something along the lines of, the community planning team is not a group of individuals vying to one particular position or another, vying for dominance against, it's this or nothing. From my understanding of reading the notes of the four that I focused on, the four current refinement plans, that never happened with the community planning teams. And I know that it wouldn't happen with South Willamette. I mean, I've read a lot of the neighbors' comments that they've been sending in, and they are dedicated to not these hard trenched embattlements and to defend against all comers. That's not the idea. And they understand that it has to be. This is for the good of the community, and anything really, and council has the final word. And I think everyone, the South Willamette realizes that. All the other groups that worked on the refinement plans realize that something that doesn't represent the broad community interest is just not going to fly with council. And so I'm convinced that they have that understanding and will work in that spirit. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, we'll be back at 7:30.